Instead of hurting others or yourself, Jesus can heal your hurt. Please let him. This is episode 9 of Summer in Process, and together we gather.
Shut up and sit down.
Enjoy. Podcasting. Chris Van Dyke.
Just keep in mind, look at the camera. Like, she can't be in your face. And so she can be, but, it's not going to work out super well. Anyway, well, let's get rolling.
Okay.
All right, so we're back, and a lot has changed. We're gathered here for Summer in Process, and it's been like 4 months.
Yeah, a little over maybe even.
And I'd say the biggest change since the last time we were podcasting is probably that I got my hair cut.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
Biggest change.
Right. Most of there's been a few other changes. Some minor ones.
Yeah.
We'll let the people figure that out.
That's I hope they can come to a conclusion.
Right. Well, but let's not I was going to say something like discriminate against them if they can't conclude that.
That's true.
Right? Because
should we give them a hint?
well, if they didn't figure that one out, yeah. Could you I thought it'd be funny to start off this one with like her under your shirt. And then all of a sudden you're just like, hey, this is how babies come out.
Yeah,
really.
I wish.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot easier of a process.
Yeah. Anyway, so we are here in process, and so let's do some processing. Mm-hmm. A lot has changed and a lot's gone down. Mm-hmm. Last episode we talked about fitting in, and we were taking you through the trail, and honestly I'm kind of looking forward to getting off the trail, getting off of Summer's past to start processing real time.
Yeah.
But if there are people following this, then they'll have some backstory.
Right.
And I think she's going to be a great podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she just looks right at me and thinks I'm talking to her. Which is going to work out just fine.
I think she's going to smile at you.
And I heard the camera do a weird thing, so I'm just going to look around. Okay. And just even though we're kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
And so we haven't podcasted. Oh, I've never fixed my shirt. And that's something that we always do before we start the cameras rolling. But again, we're just
we're in process. So
we're in process.
You know what? Sometimes in process we fix our shirts. So there that is.
Totally. Things get fixed when you're in process.
They do.
Yeah. Or they don't. They get worse. Sometimes they get worse.
That's true.
And so it just depends on how.
Well, if you're in process with Jesus, then
yeah. But sometimes Jesus gives us over to our ways.
But yeah.
And knowing that he's sovereign and him being good, knowing that he would never do that unless it's going to ultimately result in something good.
Right.
For his kids and his people. Right.
For example.
Right.
For example.
Yeah. Anyway.
See.
So we were, we just got off the trail. And what happened after you got off the trail? You went.
I went straight to college. 2 weeks getting off trail, I went straight to college.
Mm-hmm. Where did you go to college?
Vermilion in Ely, Minnesota.
Yeah, why Vermilion?
It's a community college, but it's really has a lot of hands-on outdoor programs, so it was both affordable and it was also exactly what I wanted to do career-wise.
Mm-hmm. And you say hands-on.
Like classes we would take would be actually going out and doing a winter camping trip, or actually going out and doing some sessions of sea kayaking, or actually going out and getting your belay certification for rock climbing, or doing very hands-on things, or having to lead others on a canoe trip or something like that.
So literally it's not theory. You're not
there's a little bit of
yeah.
Of basic.
So you do some basic instruction, some theory, but then the majority of it's hands-on. You're it's almost like an apprenticeship. and yet it's a college and it's a degree.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was super drawn to it because it's like, and it was only 2 years, which was awesome. I didn't really totally know if that's what I wanted to do, so I thought it'd be safer to stick with something like shorter period of time. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting statement. You thought it would be safer?
Yeah. So I thought it would be less expensive to get me in less debt. It'd be less time consuming.
Yeah. We'll scoot you over here.
In order to, or for me to do Vermilion instead of like, I don't know, some of the other colleges that do the same thing, but yeah.
Right. So this is going to be interesting. So there'll be some editing involved. And I'm not sure that I can like totally edit, so then people just be cool with, I mean, this is how we normally have conversations.
Right.
And maybe it's too distracting, but we're just going to go for it anyway.
Well,
Yeah. So often
Babies
I'll
change
hold her
lives.
like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she just immediately loves it. It blocks me a little bit from the camera, but that's okay. It's do people have to see our faces when we're doing this? So we're literally in process. This is real time. And so if people don't get that and they don't appreciate it, well, then that's okay. They can tune into some other fancy YouTube thing that's entertaining and delightful.
Yeah.
But we don't just strive to be entertaining. We're actually processing. And so, she just grabbed that. Do you like that chair? Yeah. Anyway, so where were you?
I was in Ely. I was just got off trail. I obviously, as you've like seen through my journey, I was still not in a place of resting in Jesus. And that, so right away I just jumped right into school.
So just real quick,
when
you say you weren't in a place of resting in Jesus, like, what do you mean by that? Because that's kind of language that a lot of people would be like, how does one rest in Jesus?
Well, and honestly, I wouldn't have even really said that when I wasn't resting in Jesus, because I wouldn't have used that kind of language anyway.
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I would I wasn't pursuing him in scripture, in prayer, in Holy Spirit leading, in all that kind of stuff. I wasn't seeking him out.
Yeah.
And then when things happened, I wasn't first of all asking him about it. Second of all, putting it on him if I couldn't take it, which I can't take anything. So putting everything on him.
Right.
So. Right.
And one thing that's really effective in my mind, we got this from Vanderstelt's book, Gospel Fluency. Or at least I got it from that. Actually, I got it originally from, I went to a conference of his.
I think she get mad? Poked herself in the eye.
Oh, did you poke yourself in the eye? Are you better? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Gosh, she's so cute.
I know. So, you're resting in what Jesus has done on your behalf so that you can fully receive the full presence of God, not based on what you do or what you have done, but based on what he has done.
And why I use the term resting is because I wasn't in the place where I was denying Jesus. I was still like walking through processing with you, but I wasn't actually trusting in him or resting. Oh yeah, exactly. And so it was not like there wasn't connection there. God still had my heart. He was just, he was letting me being given over to a lot of things of my own.
Right. Which can lead you to actually resting in him rather than resting in yourself. And I guess that's where the resting in comes from. Yeah. So back to kind of what I was saying is you're resting in what he has done versus what you've done, in what he is doing versus what you are doing, and what he will do versus what you're capable of doing in the future. Right. And so we literally transfer our hope from ourselves to him, in essence. Not in essence, in reality. And so like where when you went to Ely to go to school, that was really your plan.
It was fully my plan.
Now he was giving you over to your plan so that you could see when you're not taking in consideration his plan, your plans fail.
Yep.
Right? Now, because he's so awesome, because he's sovereign, because he's good, he can use what was for, negative things or bad things or rebellious things or, disobedient things for the good.
Right.
Hence, we have Luna here with us
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
And not just Luna here with us today, but you have a renewed trust in him rather than yourself.
Right.
Right? And so when you were at Ely, you were very much so resting in yourself.
Yeah.
Or accomplishments or your new profession.
Yeah, and like I specifically chose something where I felt very confident in already that I could rest in myself. So obviously I'm not leaping out of my comfort zone a lot and needing to like go to him for anything necessarily, but I felt very comfortable in that school, in that environment, and with those people and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I actually specifically placed myself in a place where I didn't have to trust in him.
Yeah, you didn't go to
Or so I
MIT to
Right.
some
Yeah, I didn't go to law school. Like
Right,
I'm not this is in my comfort zone here. Like
Right. Well, not just your comfort zone, but also a bit how he's created you.
Right.
And that's where you say it wasn't fully outside of him.
No, of course
It wasn't
not.
like you're totally rebelling and you had him in the backs of your mind somewhere. He had you fully in his mind.
Yeah.
He just was more in the back of your mind, and you had other things in front of him, right? Prioritized.
Lots.
Not necessarily maliciously, but just that's where you were at in life.
Yeah.
Right? And so you went to Ely and started this college
Yep.
that was very hands-on.
Yep.
And what happened?
A lot of things happened.
Yeah.
I made a lot of friends throughout the school years. I gave my heart to several boys. I really struggled with schoolwork, both on the I don't want to do it, I'm not going to accomplish anything end, to the very opposite, perfectionist, I'm going to accomplish everything end. Like I got like D's and C's my first semester, and then was like on the like straight A's the next semester.
What happened there?
First of all, I called it like I figured it out, which is just silly, but I basically just decided that I was going to actually do the schooling that I decided to pay for, partially. And then also I made connections in order to like succeed in schoolwork as well. So I would like go alongside with other people instead of just like trying to do it on my own or something like that. So
Sure, so you sought out help.
Yeah.
Which is very gospel-esque.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there was a lot of things
yeah.
and it shows like there was things that did happen that were gospel-esque that actually that showed freedom, that showed,
Yeah.
but like,
yeah,
obviously
I think
that's not where it was.
That's one thing that I have learned over the years since I first heard about the gospel is that really everything is a metaphor. Whether we realize it or not. And so seeking out help for another person usually works. If you seek out help from a more reliable source, it usually works better, right? And so like if you seek out help from the most reliable source, well, you're going to get the best result.
Yeah.
And so like, who's the most reliable source? And so that's a great question in everybody's life, right? And so that's another one of those things where that's rest in Jesus. Because when you seek out help from the most reliable source, you get the most reliable source's help, which is rest.
Right.
Whereas when you seek out help from me or a friend, you're going to get help, and it's going to provide a bit of freedom, and it should produce some good results. But I'm limited. Right? I didn't go with you on the trail. I didn't go with you, and nor necessarily should I. And so,
Helicopter parent.
right, helicopter parent. And so, yeah. And so you also, I want to hit on when you first hit college for that first semester, you didn't necessarily, I remember you making some sort of statement that you literally didn't believe that you were academic.
Yeah, I had this idea probably my entire growing up year until maybe trail, and then even then it wasn't like, I don't know, I just had this idea I wasn't intelligent in the way of school. Like I just couldn't learn in a school environment if it was a sit down classroom with homework, I couldn't learn that way. And it was not because that's not the way I learned, is because I wasn't smart enough. That's what I chalked it up to.
Sure.
Because I feel like some people truly don't learn as well that way, whereas some people do. But that wasn't my thing. I thought like I just truly wasn't smart enough to learn that way. And I think that was another reason I switched from getting like C's and D's to getting like straight A's the next semester.
So you're in college and you're believing some lies, but then you overcame, and you may have thought you figured it out, but even though you weren't turning to God, I fully believe that God is leading and guiding every human on the face of the planet.
And he was.
Even when people don't give him credit.
Right.
And, for the atheist, do I think that God helps the atheist even though they're denying him? Fully. Yeah, of course he is. He's blessing them.
Yeah.
And so because he wants to bless them. Now, does he also understand more than we do whether or not they're going to turn their heart to him ultimately? Yeah, of course. And so we trust in his judgment more so than our ability to like size somebody up or say, God would never help that person because they were never going to believe him to begin with. Because we have an actual example of that in Moses and Pharaoh. God didn't want to turn Pharaoh over to his own heart. He wanted to give him an opportunity.
Yeah.
But Pharaoh hardened his heart. And then God hardened his heart. And that's the way that kind of thing works. And so, anyway.
Yeah, that's wild.
She's so noisy.
Yeah, she's super noisy.
Anyway, so you're in college and you're starting to get better grades. And you made a lot of friends. You've given your heart over to some boys.
Yeah.
Probably one more in particular.
Yeah, I had... At the beginning of school, there was two things. I wasn't used to getting a lot of attention from males, and I wasn't used to doing well in school. And so those things were just like things I just didn't think were going to happen. And then both of them did. And so that kind of rocked my world a little bit. Not necessarily in great ways either way, but the attention and part of it's because it's like I think there's like 30% girls in the whole school or something like that in comparison to boys. So there's like not very many girls.
Sure.
So just, yeah.
War of attrition.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
right.
Well, it's going to happen.
Keep going.
Yeah. And so I had probably talked to a few different guys and like dated a few different guys within the first like couple weeks. And then after that, met one guy in particular that I basically dated throughout the rest of my college.
Go into that a little bit more if she's cool with it, and if not, I'll just
go into which part, because like there's a lot of elements of school
grades, and you weren't used to getting attention for boys.
Yeah.
And you gave your heart over to boys. And so why weren't you, where were you at?
Well, I didn't totally. I actually went a different, once I figured out that I was getting a lot of attention, I decided to kind of manipulate, I guess, because that's something I had the power to do.
Wow.
Yeah, so, which was really jacked, but, so it was a lot of stuff I did, so.
Yeah, but, like, I think that's good for people to hear.
Yeah.
Like, that's real talk right there.
It was, yeah.
Right, and so, like,
yeah, because
you start getting attention from a boy, and all of a sudden now you realize you have power. And then what are you going to do with that power? So you also didn't realize that you had power
right.
over other people because you had something they desired.
Yeah.
Right? You never saw yourself as that before.
And with friends too. I mean, I had a soft spot, I think, more so, and like more of a Jesus-centered heart for like my roommates and a lot of the girls I hung out with, because I just like understood them a little bit better, whereas boys I didn't quite as much, and the things they were seeking from me I thought were really like degrading. So I was just like, well, if you're gonna try and degrade me, I'm gonna manipulate you, which is how it turned out to be a lot of times. So
Sure.
yeah,
Clearly not a Holy Spirit filled trust
Clearly.
in Jesus response,
so clearly. Yeah.
but a real response of what people do.
Yeah.
And so like that's not the only response. I know there's probably some people who would see this or hear that kind of language from somebody else somewhere else and say, oh, I would, far be it from me to ever do something like that.
Yeah.
But they're doing something unhealthy in response too, because when you're in an unhealthy place and you're being treated in a negative way, you're going to respond somehow.
Right.
Right. And so whether you're a doormat or you rise up and you're going to protect yourself some way, shape, or form. And so being a doormat is just as unhealthy. Damaging yourself is just as unhealthy as damaging somebody else.
Yes.
And so I don't think a lot of people realize that.
No.
But you're a person too.
Yeah.
And so like if you're going to let yourself get hurt, that's no better than hurting somebody else. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Because you have value. Every person has value.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back and wrap it up.
I mean, yeah, totally.
Jesus gathered us and he'll gather us again. He gathers us every day. But for the podcast, we'll gather again. And this has been great to come back to you and get us started again.
Yeah.
And to understand how we need... Oh, she's literally almost falling asleep.
I know, she's super tired.
You're doing great, Luna. Oh, she's so great. And so say, see you later, everybody. We'll be back again. Thanks for going on this journey with us as we are in process.
Yeah.
And every other human on earth is in process too. And so we think letting people see us in process can be helpful to other people to process their own issues, their own troubles. And we want to encourage everybody else together to get together and process and explore the heart, explore the whys of life. Your own actions, other people's actions. When you see somebody be hurt, or somebody hurts you, or you get hurt, ask questions. Don't just accept it as it is, and don't just accept your response that it was great. Right? It's okay to self-reflect, and especially when you realize that you're good not because of what you do, not because what you are doing, not because what you will do, but because what Jesus has done, what he'll do, and what he is doing. Because Jesus right now is doing a lot on our behalf so that we can have the fullness of God.
And if you're trying to justify yourself by yourself, then you suck. And so that's going to be really hard.
Totally. I just think we should end it on that note.
So there you go.
Yeah, totally.
Sweet.
And so thanks for gathering.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Okay.
Feeling provoked, angered, encouraged, inspired by what you heard? Don't keep it to yourself. Comment below. Put your supportive beliefs into action by clicking all the clicky stuff. Lastly, gather with those around you and remind one another what Jesus has done, is doing, and will do.
And she's happy and
Super happy.
it's super funny. She drooled like all over my leg. It's so awesome. We'll see. Anyway, so what would it be like to watch two people talking with a crying baby? Because like we can help.
Yeah, I mean, I seek out videos with crying babies all the time. I just like put them in the background. It's really awesome.
Let's have an episode where we just have the crying baby. Luna just cries, and then you can't do anything about it because you can't get No, that'd be terrible.
That would be really terrible.
We wouldn't do that to you. No, we won't do that to you. What are you thinking you're needing? What do you think she might need?
Sleep.
Just sleep?
Yeah.
So
she's very overdue for her
we're
now.
not going to necessarily minister to her and bless her in a way that she's looking for
Probably
unless
not.
she goes to sleep.
Probably.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just pause because nobody wants to watch this.
Right.
And then...
Well, maybe someone wants to watch this. But if they did, I would question them.
Right. Okay. And so we're back again. And
we're back.
And Luna is temporarily okay, and I'm going to sit in this position instead. And I can always move my mic.
That'd be another sweet t-shirt. Temporarily okay.
Temporarily okay. Yeah, along with our other shirt that we're going to call Bloaty. But we won't tell the people about that secret idea yet because that's a winner. Bloaty. Anyway, we're back.
Right.
He was there.
Yeah, your microphone is
rising. This podcast's a mess. It's all right. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cry, though. We'll probably edit this one out.
Yeah.
Right.
She might be past her.
Yeah.
She might be at
Do you
bedtime.
think this is distracting for people?
Maybe I think the most distracting is the microphone just slowly escaping from you constantly.
Here, I fixed that one. Shouldn't do it again. We'll see. Okay.
It's kind of like a circus going on over
I
there.
know. I got a full-blown circus going on over here. She drooled like all over my leg. It's so awesome. Okay, so...